Hey everyone, I'm Mike Reinold from MikeReinold.com and Champion PT and Performance up in Boston, Massachusetts. Today I wanted to share a little bit of a video on how we use non-motorized treadmills here at Champion. We started using a little bit more of the non-motorized treadmill in our fitness population recently to work on things like sprints and high intensity interval training. But as we started using it more and more, we started to realize that there was a pretty significant implication of using this in the rehab setting as well. So we have a Woodway curve here at Champion, which we think's one of the better devices out there. So we know Woodway has fantastic treadmills, so we like their shock absorbing qualities that their treadmills have, and all of those are built into the curve model as well. So their curve is their one that is the non-motorized treadmill that they have on the market. And when we use this in the rehab setting, there's a couple of neat features that I like about it that I think set it apart from traditional treadmills. One, again, the curved nature of it here facilitates a little bit more of a normal gait pattern for me. So people post-operative, post-injury that are having trouble restoring that gait, maybe they have a very quad dominant gait, they're going to use it in this curved fashion, and they really have to work on knee extension and toes up to really have a good heel strike with this curved design in the treadmill. So Dave, why don't you start walking and we'll kind of look at that a little bit. And you can see here, to clear his toes, he really has to assure that he's getting full knee extension in this curved device. So to me, I think that's fantastic for just gait training alone, just doing some ambulation on a non-motorized treadmill like this Woodway curve. Or the other thing that's probably even more significant to me is that because it's non-motorized, he has to generate the power for the belt to move, and you have to do that with your posterior chain. So it's a lot of hamstrings and glutes. So what happens is you just go for a walk on this, let alone a jog or some sprints on this, and you really feel your hamstrings and your glutes because you're firing your posterior chain to provide all the momentum of the machine. So again, we get a good heel strike pattern and a good avoidance of that quad dominant gait pattern, but we're also facilitating now posterior chain. So maybe you have somebody with patellofemoral pain that's very quad dominant that you want to make a little bit more posterior dominant. Maybe even have somebody with low back pain that is using their lumbar paraspinals a little bit more than their glutes for hip extension. It's this type of device that we can now functionally use in a walking pattern to say, hey, I want these glutes, I want these hamstrings, I want this posterior chain to fire instead of your low back. And that's going to inherently be done just because it's a non-motorized treadmill. Okay, so I think those are two fantastic reasons why we use it in the rehab world. In the fitness world, again, non-motorized devices like bikes and rowers and now the treadmills are super popular, obviously, because you can exert a little bit more force and you get more out of it. If you look at studies showing, and I'm pretty sure Woodway's done a study that shows that you use about 30% more energy on these non-motorized treadmills than you do on your own. So you're going to get more work in a shorter amount of time. But I think what's really neat for us as we start transitioning from rehab to more sports performance is the ability to sprint on these devices. So Dave, why don't you show us just some interval sprinting on this? And you can see all he has to do, no buttons, he doesn't have to do anything significant with the device. All he has to do is just start running faster. And because you exert the power to move the belt in these non-motorized treadmills, you're the one that can do that momentum with the treadmill. Okay? So one more, Dave. Good sprint pattern there. Just trying to show off there. I like that. So obviously great rationale to use that in the fitness end of the spectrum, but don't underestimate what happens with the posterior chain with these types of devices. Something I would definitely recommend you do in the rehab setting as well.